Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to react to a Dragon's Den episode that is labeled on YouTube as "That is lovely, but I don't care," which I assume is a quote from one of the dragons. Let's see what that's about.
Unlike generic shapewear, Fit Britches not only helps you lose inches of the waist, hips and thighs, but we're clinically proven to help reduce the appearance of cellulite and increase skin elasticity and collagen. I developed Fit Britches out of personal necessity. It all started with big knickers and cling film. I started wrapping myself up in this stuff. My husband thought I'd gone crazy.
I really like that. I really like this lady's pitch. So when you are presenting a product to a group of people that might become your investors, you have to start with the story. The storytelling is the heart of what you're selling them. You might have the best product and you might have the best figures, but if the story behind what you're selling them isn't compelling, you're not going to get a dragon to buy into it. I like that she used humor. I like that she used her personal story. I like that she really exposed what problem she was having and how she initially set out to resolve it. That demonstrates that if there's people like her on the market, then her business might be successful when it launches.
I am here today to seek an investment of £75,000 in return for 5% equity stake.
Okay, so £75,000 in exchange for 5% equity in the company. That means that the valuation was for £1.5 million. That's quite a high valuation. I wonder how the valuation was put together. So usually when a company is valuated, that means that usually an accountant evaluates it. So there's various methods to estimate the market value of the company that is based on a number of things. So the profits to date, future cash flow projected, market potential. There's a whole host of things that goes into a company's valuation. £1.5 million for a shapewear startup seems quite high. If I were a dragon, one of the first questions that I would ask at this point is about competition. Shapewear has become more and more popular in the market, and there's more and more brands coming up that are occupying that space. And so I would be wondering whether the founder in this case made some kind of competitor analysis to evaluate what her position might be for the product. Let's see.
How would they compare? Have you ever worn Spanx?
Yeah.
Told you.
One thing that comes to my mind immediately is they're quite thick and they're probably very hot.
Believe it or not, it's got thermoregulating properties. They're designed to keep your temperature at a consistent temperature.
They're quite heavy.
No, I can completely understand why you would.
And that might be uncomfortable for some women.
You will be surprised at the sort of levels as women will go to actually look and feel great.
You see, the problem you've got with this, you can't patent this.
Okay, so I'm starting to identify a little bit of friction here. So Tuka make a good point. Like, comfortability obviously is very important when you're selling a product. You want shapewear that makes you feel good, but also that is comfortable, that you can keep on the entire day. And her response to that was, "Oh, sure, yeah, it self-regulates, and also women would do anything to feel great." I don't like that response very much. If the clothing actually has temperature regulating features, I would like to know more about them rather than just saying, "Oh, women would put up with anything just to look good."
So how's the business trading at the moment in terms of revenue? And presumably you've got an idea of your profit.
Yeah, basically we launched in 2013. I've turned over in my first year £165,000. Gross was £109,000 with a net profit of £50,000.
So next year?
Next year, I'm looking to do £300,000.
No, sorry, the next. So you said 2013. I would assume that ended April 2014. Yeah. So we've just finished 2015. Yeah.
Can I just explain? Sorry, can I just explain? In our first year, I wasn't expecting, I always believed that my product was going to be successful.
That's lovely, but I don't care.
Well, that's Deborah for you. So what Deborah is asking is the financial performance of the company year on year. And what she's coming back with is something very defensive. If a potential investor is asking about the company's figures, just give them the figures. Give them year on year. You should know these off the top of your head. So there's 4 figures that you have to know off the top of your head for the current year and also at least the 3 previous financial years of your company. The first figure is the turnover. So that's the total gross sales for the entire year. The second figure is cost of sales. How much did it cost you to make the products that you sold? Then you have overheads. So those are the costs that are unrelated with the production of your product. And the fourth figure is the profit. So the difference between your income and all of your expenses.
Just tell me what the turnover was.
Okay, the following year, because the figures have just gone in, I'm anticipating it's £60,000. Sorry.
Well, I'm still not sure that works. So £60,000, what's your margin?
Uh-oh.
How much?
If you're a business owner, you have to be comfortable with this kind of language. So the margin is what's left after you deduct the cost of sales from the income. So you have to know how much it costs you to produce the product. And then, of course, you have to know how much the sale of those products made for you. And the difference between the two is the margin.
How much do these cost you to make?
Right. We had, in our first year, I basically had to buy in a lot of stock because of minimums. So I don't have that in my second year.
Seems to me like she's not understanding the question. Deborah very clearly asked her, how much does it cost you to produce a single item? So what she's trying to understand is how profitable is the product. As a business owner, you should strive to understand this kind of terminology. The margin is the difference between the price of a product and how much it costs you to make that product.
You see, if your accounts say that you turned over 165,000 and it cost you, your cost of sales was 109,000, you certainly weren't getting an 87% margin.
So Deborah is saying, you've already told us the figures, you've already told us how much the company made, and you've already told us how much it cost you to make the product. The way that you calculate the margin is you calculate the difference between the sales and the cost of sales, and then that figure you divide it by the turnover. So that gives you the percentage margin of the product. What percentage of the product sales is left after you take out how much it cost you to make that product? That's what Deborah is trying to understand from the founder, and the founder looks a little bit lost with that kind of language. These are the kind of figures that you have to have top of mind when presenting your product or your business to a potential investor.
So
I
your
haven't got the
margin,
second year figures. I'm sorry.
109 was gross
Sorry.
profit.
yeah, but you can't say that. You can't come in here and say you don't know how your business works. Well, you can, but it's not going to get a terribly good response.
Of course it's not.
There are not that many mechanics in a business that you need to understand. That's only 3 numbers.
Of course, which
Right,
is the
really
reason.
simple. £60,000 worth of turnover. What were your costs of sales?
At this stage of developing a business, this lady has traded since 2013, and this episode was shot I think a few years after that. You have to know these figures. Like, these figures are like the DNA of your business. These figures are the bread and butter of what you're doing. It's like a GP not knowing how to read blood tests. Like, it is at the core of your responsibilities as a business owner to know these figures. If I were her, I would really look for a mentor who has a very strong financial background, maybe an accountant or like a very experienced business owner that can teach her how to read the financial information of her business so that she knows whether she's making a profit at all. Personally speaking, if I were a dragon, I would not invest in this person because she's not showing that she is competent and she's not showing that she knows truly what's going on in her business's finances. She might have the best product ever. She might have an amazing idea. But to me personally, and there might be other investors that would disagree for me for sure, but for me personally, I need to be able to count on the founder's knowledge and skill and financial awareness to be able to trust them with an investment.
I'm sorry, my mind's gone just completely blank at the moment. And I'm just looking at figures, which is not realistic at all. Obviously, I'm under pressure. It's no excuse whatsoever.
Right, stop. Stop. Take a breath. Take a deep breath and just think about this, because I'm not asking you difficult questions.
I know you're not. I'm just...
And I'm not even trying to be difficult.
I know you're not.
Turnover, gross profit and net profit is not complicated.
It's the
And that
basics.
tells me I don't think you know how to run a business.
This information that Deborah is asking is truly very, very basic. Like, the founder should have prepared for these kind of questions, and she should have known that this is the kind of information that any investor would ask before investing even £1 into a business.
You came in so well. You were so powerful. And we all almost kind of sat up and like, oh, this is going to be really good. And you told us your story. I'm out.
Yeah, she has to have the basics together. At the moment, the Dragons have no idea of the financial position of the company. They have no information whatsoever if the company is even profitable or not. I'd be willing to bet that none of the Dragons are going to offer her any investment because of her lack of knowledge. Let's have a look.
You started off incredibly well. I mean, you came bursting in here full of energy. I think what you do need is a partner, and it probably needs to be somebody who really understands how you can get into the retail side of this. And I can't offer that to you. So I think for that reason only, I'm out.
I think she needs a very experienced finance director or managing director with a very strong business background that can help her understand the business side of things.
You actually think that when you're investing, you get a dedicated mentor that will roll through this business as if it's theirs. It's not an internship that you're applying for, because the reality is my life is about investing in entrepreneurs. You get what you need. You get access to the experience and the help that hopefully I can provide, but you then also take on board all of those things yourself and drive the business through to the finish line. So I'm going to wish you well and say, sadly, at this point, I'm out.
Sometimes you're really not going to like this, and I'm not saying it for my own gratification. I meet some people who are just not. They just don't get the mechanics of business, and it's not even about learning. You might be that person who actually thinks they learn but doesn't learn.
Ooh, that's harsh. That is harsh. I disagree with Deborah. I think anybody could learn the mechanics of a business, but you have to really want to. You have to want to sit down, and you have to keep your mind really open and carefully select the people that you're doing business with, carefully select a finance director or a business development director that can really teach you how to read and interpret those numbers. You can't be complacent in your knowledge. You always have to look for your blind spots. And if there's something that was never taught to you, if you know that you have like a lack in knowledge, that's the thing that you have to tackle first. Before going into the dragon's den, you have to have your financial knowledge basics. You cannot go into this room and not knowing what your turnover is and what your margin is. But I do think that Deborah was a little bit harsh. We don't know this lady. We don't know whether she is willing or not willing to learn.
I am not normally like this. I'm probably buckling under pressure. You know, I never finished school. I didn't have the privilege of having an education. I did not have a mentor. I did not have anybody that guided me. You know, I was basically guided by my own sort of passion. And that was because I wanted my kids to have a better future. Everything that I do is for my children. I'm sorry about this.
That's a very good reason to do what you're doing. This is going to make it hard. Sorry, I won't be investing.
As expected. You see, if only she came in prepared. Nobody had anything particularly bad to say about the product. There were some questions from Tuka about like the temperature, but she might have had a really good thing there, but she just came underprepared on the financial side of things. And that is the beating heart of a business. That is the DNA of the business. You have to be prepared. And unfortunately, it looks like this founder didn't have, well, she did say that she didn't have obviously the training, and that's not a bad thing. Like it's not necessarily her fault. And she didn't have a mentor that could guide her through what it means to be financially aware. It's something that she can fix. It's something that she can educate herself on. Even by looking at her previous Dragon's Den episode, she could have made a note of what kind of questions the dragons usually ask. There were things that she could do even without a mentor and even without the training. But you don't know what you don't know, right? So I'm sure that this has taught her quite a big lesson, and she can get up from here. It looks like she's been knocked down a little bit, but she can get herself back up.
First of all, I respect exactly what you've done up to now, because I know what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
First of all, it takes a lot of guts to come between 5 dragons here. I haven't got the amount of time that you need. All I can say is I can't invest in you, so I'm out.
As I predicted, it makes it almost impossible for anybody to invest in someone who isn't prepared. However, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this happened behind the scenes, but I would have offered to introduce someone to this founder that could maybe work alongside her and provide her the training and the knowledge. I would have tried to signpost her to some resources and people that could help her out and help her really understand where she is in terms of understanding the financial position of her business. You simply cannot have a successful business if you don't understand the mechanics and the financial intricacies of it.
I feel disappointed with myself. I started suffering from mind block. I don't know where that came from. That's never happened to me before. I know my figures inside out.
Okay, so she says that she does know the figures. So either she is knowledgeable, but she had like a memory slip. But for sure, she came underprepared. For sure, she came underprepared. Those were the kind of figures that she should have run in her head over and over and over and over and over. She should have known those figures as well as she knows how to speak about her product.
She'll do it though. That grit.
Yeah. Well, there we go. I hope you really enjoyed this commentary / reaction video to Dragon's Den. Let me know in the comments what you think about this pitch. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you at the next one.